What's going on YouTube? Florman Knives here with a vintage USA made Kershaw. And this is another knife that was lent to me by my dad, so really grateful to him for allowing me to make a video on this. This is a knife that he has used and carried off and on throughout the years. Not too much, he predominantly carries his Spydercos, but again, a USA made Kershaw, and you can see that this is a Kershaw design. So I'm gonna briefly be going over this knife, just something really cool overall. I love the USA made Kershaws, and of course if it's a vintage model it's even cooler. So again, Kershaw design, and Kershaw is definitely a very famous knife designer, especially for some brands such as Kershaw and CRKT. Another really cool thing about this knife, again, USA made Kershaw, which, you know, they do make some great USA made Kershaws still to this day, but a lot of their knives more recently have been coming out of China, so I always appreciate that. Something really cool too, this knife right here is patent pending still, so, or at least it was at the time. Of course they continued to make this knife and they did patent the knife, but I did want to note that early on in the video, and I'll be discussing that a little bit more. But again, made in the USA, and I don't think I've actually said what the name of this knife is yet. This is the Kershaw Whirlwind, specifically the Whirlwind 1560. You can see that's the design right there. Just a really great looking knife overall, really good shape. I love the 3 holes that are drilled out, just really for aesthetic reasons only. You can see it does have the single thumb stud, but you could swap that over, I believe, for left-hand carry. And it is, of course, a liner lock, but you can see, or you can probably have guessed it, this is going to be spring assisted. This is going to be a speed safe torsion bar, spring assisted opening knife to be specific. Of course, you do have the black polyamide handle. You do have a black stainless steel pocket clip right there with the classic Phillips head screws. And this knife is definitely still pretty sharp. Again, my dad does not carry this knife too frequently. He's not really a huge fan of assisted opening, and it is tipped down too, as you can see, but still, again, a really cool knife overall. You do have a 3.25-inch blade, and one thing I love about this blade is that the cutting edge goes down pretty much the whole entire length of it. You are also going to have a 4.5-inch handle, as you can see, and as I mentioned earlier, this particular one was a patent pending variant, so a very early model for this knife. The steel on this is going to be 440A, although they did switch it up to some of the different Sandvik steels down the line. And as I also mentioned, they continued to make this knife, and all of the knives or videos I've seen on this knife online have been of a patented knife. There we go. I definitely have not seen a whole lot of Kershaws in general where the patent was still pending, so I think that's just a really cool aspect of this knife. Something unique, just makes it a little bit more cool for sure, and you know, definitely, of course, shows its age, relatively speaking. You know, if it was a patented knife, I'm struggling to say that word, you would not necessarily know if it was a early production run, for example. So now, I should have thought about it. I did not look up when this knife was produced. I believe it was in the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s, but I could be wrong there. Perhaps it was later 2000s. But it's still very cool regardless, and this thing is in fantastic shape. The assisted opening, speed safe torsion bar just flies out of there. I mean, even with just a little bit of effort, right about there, it engages. So if you actually do flick your thumb with it, it's, you know, just as fast as an automatic knife, if not faster. So just a really, really cool design overall. Kershaw does a great job with his designs. I think ergonomically this is really fantastic too. I like this little flat spot here on top of the blade. You do have minimal jimping right here on the back, and then of course some jimping for the liner lock. But other than that, a very smooth handled knife, but fills the hand out for sure. And something very cool, again, just a vintage Kershaw here, and USA made more specifically. And that's something that I am really appreciative of and really like about this knife, and I'm really happy that I was able to do a quick video on it. Definitely a cool piece. So I would be curious to hear in the comments below if any of you have any USA made Kershaws. If so, which knife model is it? I'll admit I am not the most familiar with Kershaw's, but they do make fantastic knives. And of course, this is a Kai USA knife, which is the same brand that does make Shinsura, as well as, of course, zero tolerance knives. So real quick before I wrap the video up, as I stated, would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do a quick size comparison. You've got the PM2 there, and we'll do a Spyderco sandwich with the Delica, so you can see it is a relatively decent sized EDC knife. Pretty in between, not large, but definitely not small. I would say pretty ideal. So that'll be doing it for this video here. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments of this knife and of Kershaw knives in general. And as always, I really appreciate you watching. Thanks.